Greetings, everyone. This is Trey. It's the 1st of November, 2016. Here with my friend Mark Conley. We're trying to do our second round of discussion. Yesterday we had a lot of technical difficulty and hemmed and hawed around for about 45 minutes and absolutely wasted our time. Finally, we just said, let's just give up and go. I don't know if it's my computer or at work, or if I did some things wrong at the beginning too. So hopefully we've got a good flow now. I seem to be streaming fine over here.
Yeah, I just checked. I checked the YouTube. It looks like you're fine. Everything's coming through loud and clear.
Okay, good. Okay, so all right. So we had a discussion a little over an hour last time, and you had a few. And I had to go, but. And you're kind of upset saying, just get to the place where I want to be. And so we're finishing up our conversation, or continuing our conversation. We probably won't finish up everything even today, but and we're planning to go for about an hour. And you had a couple of questions, and I think one was regarding evolution, one was regarding something about, what was it?
Well, I phrased it as cosmology and why you believe what you think you believe about cosmology,
right.
But more specifically, okay. you called it cosmogony, which I guess is more appropriate. That's a more appropriate term.
Yeah. So first thing. So I guess that last one that messed up yesterday was so useless. We're just gonna have to start everything over from where we began. So you want to start with that? Have me give my justification for my justification of how I think everything started.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, as we stated before, I've got two epistemological tools of law of non-contradiction and basic sense perception, enough to know that I as an inquirer exist. And if I know that I exist, I realize that I was born, that I'm changing, that I'm dependent in my existence. And we know that a dependent existence cannot be and not be at the same time and in the same relationship. Which requires that there be something somewhere that has the ontology of self-existence, because contingent existence cannot happen itself before it is. Would you concede that?
Contingent existence, I'm not about that point. I will say that at some point, somewhere along the line, something is going to have to be. Well, something is going to have to come around first. To
come around first, something is going to have to
be self-existent.
Okay.
I tried to phrase it differently, but yes, something. The difference between us is going to be what we think that is, or if we think we know what that is, and why we think that. The contingency.
Also, you can see the argument.
I mean, that's not an argument. That's one of your premises setting up to your argument, I think.
No, here. Let me give you a syllogism. Contingent existence exists.
So I still don't really like using the word contingent. I get that you like using
dependent existence. Can I say that?
Dependent.
There's only two categories. You got self-existence and you got dependent existence.
I don't know that that's true. It could be that the way existence is the only way possible, and it is necessary that it is this way.
No, I mean, I think you're equivocating the term necessary. To say something is necessary means that it cannot.
Pretend I said contingent then. Same point. Same sentence. It could be that existence as we know it is contingent upon nothing, and this is the only way it could ever be, and that could be sufficient. I mean, I have no reason to think that.
To say that it's contingent upon nothing is the same as saying it's self-existent.
Sure. Yeah, it is. That could be how it is. How do I know?
That which is self-existent cannot change.
I don't see any demonstration of that. You've said that a few times, but you can't defend that.
Okay. Yeah.
You haven't defended that. Sorry, I don't mean to.
Okay. that's pretty bold statement. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Okay, my son got it. All right. Let's see. Okay, so that which changes, we have talked about this. That which changes is dependent upon that which enacts the change upon it. It's subject to whatever brings the change to it. Do you agree with that?
In a general sense, but I don't know if that applies to the universe as a whole. It could be that the universe as a package doesn't change from the outside, if the outside even means anything. I don't know that. Hi.
Yeah, Carson? He was saying, this is my son, Tony. Hold on, let me pull the thing out here.
Hi, Tony.
This is Mr. Conley. Yeah, Tony goes, he's got HyperX clouds. Because I told him yesterday, I said, yeah, HyperX clouds. He goes, yeah, I do. I go, my son's got some. He thinks they're great. So it's funny. Yeah. So anyway, he's just leaving now. Okay, see you later. All right, I'll plug this back in here. See you, buddy. All right, so I forgot where I was at. So it's subject upon that which enacts the change. Then that which changes must necessarily, by definition, be contingent because it's dependent on that which. All I need is one thing that's dependent. Oh, and you wanted to say, well, how do we know the whole universe is not self-existent? Mm-hmm. This is the favorite mistake of my atheist friends. If you're going to make an ontological distinction between the universe that doesn't change and a universe that does change, you've got to have two separate entities. You can't be the same thing. You're violating the law of identity. You're saying something changes and doesn't change at the same time in the same relationship.
That I'm not saying it's the same relationship. I'm saying the things I could say and might say that the things inside the universe change in one sense, and that sense is not applicable to the way that the universe doesn't change.
Okay, and what is that? What is that sense?
I don't know. All I know is I know. So we talked about this yesterday. I don't. The thing is, here's the thing. First of all, I don't have to have an answer to that question to know that your position is not justified by evidence, right? I don't need.
Well, here it is. Mine's analytically true. It's an analytic truth. In other words,
no, it's not. It's a philosophical truth. There's no analysis you've done because we haven't analyzed any evidence to suggest that this is
all right. All right. Do you agree that if something changes, it's dependent upon that which brings a change?
Okay, so let's talk about. Yesterday we talked about cause and effect. I think we should do that again. Okay. So cause and effect. Within their definitions, yesterday we agreed. We both agree, and most people would. Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I'm just letting the dog out. I may do this periodically. She goes in and out, in and out.
Sure. So yesterday we agreed that cause and effect, in their definitions, are related to each other necessarily, and that cause precedes effect, and they're therefore related temporally. They rely on they rely on time to distinguish the two and to define the two. Right.
That's right.
Okay. So we, as a species, do not know that time exists in any meaningful sense outside the universe.
Well, as we understand it, it doesn't. If you're talking about the universe as that which is contingent, because time is necessarily a measurement of change, and if something doesn't change outside the universe, there's no such thing as time. So causality does not apply outside the universe because there's no predication. Of course, there's not.
Okay. Well, so the thing is, I don't know that that's true. That's suddenly something that's not been demonstrated.
We certainly have to plead ignorance, and all we can do is speak about what we know.
Agreed. Right. So why do you think it's fair to say that the universe was caused if cause and effect don't mean anything outside of the universe?
Because the universe happened. The moment it happens, it was a predication.
But wait,
once you have one predication, cause and effect is there.
You just contradicted yourself because you just agreed that we have to plead ignorance about what the idea of cause and effect even mean outside the universe.
Outside of contingency, yes.
Okay, then you say
that. And you said contingency happened, and I'm saying cause and effect. That's what it is.
I didn't say contingency happened. I said the universe, or I don't think we said it specifically.
Dependency happened. What do you want to say?
The universe exists. I don't know if that means it's contingent or not. I just know that we're here.
Changes, right?
I don't accept your definition that contingent changes. This
is wiggling really hard.
What?
You're wiggling really hard.
I'm not wiggling. I'm asking you to justify your assumptions. That's part of science. That's part of knowledge.
I've justified it completely.
You think you have. You haven't provided any evidence.
You are the evidence, my friend.
The evidence of what? That I exist? Yes. That
you are the evidence that contingency is. And contingency
I'm contingent upon the universe, yes. So in one sense, I'm evidence that I'm contingent upon something, but that doesn't demonstrate that the universe itself as a whole is contingent upon anything else.
Well, the universe as a whole, so what you're saying is if you take a whole bunch of contingencies and if you get enough of them, suddenly they never happened?
I never once said that.
Well, I'm asking, I mean, is that what you're saying? I'm not understanding what you're saying. You're saying the universe as a whole, you almost act as if we have...
The fact that I'm contingent upon what's in the universe does not necessarily indicate the universe is contingent upon anything else. And it would require a demonstration that that's true.
Okay, you're equivocating the term universe, and we need to make very clear distinctions because you did that before you said, I mean, you made the distinction before you said,
let me define. You're right. I should define exactly what I mean by universe.
Okay.
I'm just going to define it as the collection of all matter and energy that exists in our reality. I could call it space-time, the 4 dimensions as we know it. There's probably other ways I could do it, but that's probably sufficient. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the sum total of all galaxies, stars, planets, all the gas clouds, all the space.
Okay, what kind of being is in it? Is it self-existent, or is it contingent, or is it both?
I plead ignorance, and so should you.
I can't. I've got to follow the law of non-contradiction. Remember, that's our starting
We
point.
don't know that the law of non-contradiction applies outside of our universe.
But we're speaking about our universe, and we know that
Right.
law of non-contradiction defines our dependent universe.
I'm specifically saying the things that apply to us in our universe, right? Like the fact that I'm contingent on the universe, right? Or the fact that the law of non-contradiction exists in the universe doesn't necessarily lead us to the conclusion that those things are true outside of the universe. So you can't just call up this philosophical idea and say it necessarily applies without demonstrating that it's true.
I cannot pontificate about what I don't understand, and that's what you're doing.
But no, that's what you're doing by saying that you know contingency and the law of non-contradiction apply outside the universe.
I'm saying it can't apply, because outside the universe, if the universe is all change, if all the change, let's imagine we got this set called universe, and it's change, it's contingence, it's predication, it's all that. Law of non-contradiction only applies there because that's what the law of non-contradiction is. It is being and becoming. This is the becoming area. The being area, where it's pure being, there is no predication. It's perfection.
Well, so you just called it a pure being area, and I don't even know what that means, first of all, and I don't know.
Okay. Being just means. All right. I think we talked about this before. Heraclitus and Parmenides, the pre-Socratics, had their argument, and Heraclitus said everything is changing, and
so just because he said something doesn't demonstrate that it's true. I mean, I agree that things are changing, but somebody's old argument doesn't provide any proof.
Yeah, but you need to tell me how it's not how it does not explain a phenomenon we understand. In other words, I'm giving an explanation. You're saying, well, I don't like it, but that's not good enough to say that.
Yeah, it is good enough. The thing is, you're providing an explanation without demonstrating it empirically.
I am demonstrating it. It's a law of non-contradiction. It's law of causality.
But you've already agreed.
Have a cause.
You've already agreed that applies. We know that applies in our universe. We don't know what applies outside our universe. So how can you apply your definitions of cause and effect outside the universe?
I'm not applying it outside the universe.
Then how can you say the universe needed to be caused? Have you said that?
Because it happened. Do you agree with the Big Bang?
So you just said you can't apply cause and effect, as we understand it, outside the universe.
Right.
But you want to apply it outside the universe by saying that the universe was caused.
Because the universe is an effect, and that is where causality begins.
We don't know that that's true. We don't know that the universe is an effect because we don't know that our definitions of
Are we changing?
No.
Can something that changes create itself before it exists?
Yes, we are changing. Sorry. But you already agreed with me that our definitions and conceptions of cause and effect don't necessarily exist outside the universe. You admitted that, right? So calling the universe an effect is contradicting what you just said, because you don't know that that's true. You admitted you don't know.
No, I know that there is no such thing as cause and effect outside of contingency.
Well, what do you call contingency? I call the universe, right?
Pardon me?
When you said contingency, is that synonymous with what I'm calling the universe, as I defined it earlier? Is that what you mean? Okay, so you can't know that because you'd have to take a measurement from outside the universe to know that that's true.
No, okay. Here, let's talk about this. All right, we're talking about the scientific method. You know what I say my argument is, and I've never heard anybody say this, but my argument essentially is a scientific method for the existence of God, because science is made up.
Go on.
Yeah, science is based on induction and deduction. In other words,
get out of here. Keep going. I can hear you. I got headset on.
Okay, so what we experience things with our senses.
Okay.
And then we take those experiences and we categorize them, and we make logical deductions with that. So science is made up of induction and deduction, empiricism and logic or deduction. So if you're saying you're gonna say something scientifically or just in the realm of phenomena, you've got to employ that which is rationally coherent. That's why I'm always applying the law of non-contradiction.
There's something you're forgetting about science. You're right that we do use induction and deduction. We make inferences based on the data available to us, right? Mm-hmm. We get into big problems in science when we try to take the data that we have, build a model off it, and extrapolate it to areas we haven't measured. That's a big problem. It's called extrapolation. This
Right.
happens all the time. That's a big problem. So what you're doing is, in fact, extrapolating, because we have inferences and laws of logic that we assume, we assert, and they're based on our common experience of reality, right, in this universe. If you say that those necessarily apply outside the universe, then you're extrapolating. You can't demonstrate it. We don't have any measurements.
I never said they applied outside the universe.
You said non-contradiction
they
applies
necessarily
outside the universe. You said the law of identity applies outside the universe. We don't know that. You said
no, there is no law of identity. There's no predication outside the universe.
So the only argument you're giving me for that the universe had to be caused,
it's because the universe is.
I agree that the universe is. It doesn't mean it had to be caused.
The changing universe is.
Yes, the things in it change. We don't know that the universe, as viewed externally, changes at all. Because we don't know what change means outside of the universe.
Sure we do, because change.
No, we don't. You just admitted we can't several times. We don't know.
There is no change. We know that change.
There could be. We don't know that there's not. But we have
no, because we're appealing to logic here, Mark. And
I'm appealing to logic that we know. You're extrapolating logic that we know to logic to areas that we don't know, and we can't know. It's unknowable.
No. I am speaking about what we know right now, and I think that in as far as I think logic corresponds to reality. But I'm saying there is no such thing as logic. In other words, God is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. That word is logos. In other words, God is logic in and of himself. I am saying the law of non-contradiction corresponds to God. But it does not define him ad intra. That means as his works are, as he is.
You would need to justify or demonstrate that, because there's no reason to think that.
Well, that's what I am. It's the law of non-contradiction.
It could just be
logical argument.
You just stated that the law of non-contradiction is God without justification. I don't have to believe that.
No, I said it corresponds to who he is. In other words,
okay, fine.
It's the reality. He's not defined by predication, though. I mean, he can't be.
Okay.
But the law of non-contradiction is about predication.
We're really trying to answer the question of whether we can know that the universe was caused by something, right? And
and it's like
that's what we've been talking about for the past few minutes, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Not the overall picture, but that's this chapter.
That's what we've been talking about. Yeah.
Right. And you've said multiple times that cause and effect mean nothing outside the boundaries of the universe.
Well, I won't say it means nothing. I'm just saying it doesn't apply.
Well, it might apply.
It's kind of like B theory, really. See, I hold to a B theory of time.
What's that? I don't know what that means.
A theory and B theory.
I've never heard of those.
Things are changing, and B theory is like block theory. That everything. I thought you would use that. Didn't you talk about that? And,
if I did, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the cop-outs that I get with my interlocutors as well. They say, well, nothing, how do we know? Change that we view is just an illusion. Every time is just an illusion. Everything really is just one block. It's all happening at once, and it just appears to us. And my rebuttal to that is every moment of your life, you act as if everything is changing. In other words, you're engaging in special pleading.
That's not a good use of the term special pleading, but what we're engaging in is an unwillingness to believe things without proper evidence. That's not the same as special pleading.
You're not consistent. You're inconsistent. If you're saying that, in other words, R.C. Sproul says this. He's got a series called "Defending Your Faith," which is just outstanding. And he says every objection people are going to make, it's going to be forced and it's going to be temporary. In other words, people say nothing happens, and I say go out and walk in front of a truck and see what happens, and prove to me that change is an illusion.
Well, let me walk you through an analogy, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so imagine that outside the universe is called some other region. What do you want to call it? What do you want to call the extra universe? What's outside of our universe?
The netherworld.
Okay, we'll call it Netherlands. Got it. So in the Netherlands, our universe exists as a Blu-ray DVD or a Blu-ray disc floating through the expanse of nothingness, and recorded on the Blu-ray disc is all of the events of the universe and everything that ever has happened and will happen.
Mm-hmm.
In the Netherlands, the Blu-ray disc doesn't appear to change at all. It constantly exists. But to us, we exist running along the track of the Blu-ray disc. This analogy obviously isn't very technical or detailed, but that could very well be what it's like. I have no idea what the universe looks like from outside.
Okay, all you've done is a multiverse game. I mean, you've just exacerbated your problem.
Right. The thing is,
you haven't answered anything.
I don't claim to have answers. That's my whole point. I know,
and that's why you lose.
No.
Willy Wonka, you lose.
Answering things without having proper justification is
I am
irrational.
giving pure
No,
justification, and
listen
you're
to me.
saying I don't like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's what rational inquiry is. Somebody, hypothesis A exists. Either hypothesis A is properly supported or it's not. If it's not, you reject it. If it is, you accept it. I don't have to have an alternative hypothesis. I don't have to claim to know the answer to reject your hypothesis. And
Well,
that's all
Trey,
I'm doing.
you have to violate the law of non-contradiction in order to deny it.
To deny what?
That contingency exists without a
So when you say
self-existent creator.
contingency, what do you mean by contingency? Can you use a different word?
The universe as you defined it.
Okay, the universe exists. Yes, I got that. But in my model where it's a floating Blu-ray disc, it exists, right? And it's
All
also,
you've done is you just added another universe just like the other one, just next to it, right next to it. So what? That's a multiverse theory. They basically say, everything is going
yeah,
over.
prove that
So
that's not
you have
true.
an infinite regress of effects without causes. It's the same. It just multiplies the problem.
Yeah, prove that it's not true.
The law of non-contradiction.
That doesn't
Something
prove
cannot
that
be and not be
that
the same.
doesn't prove my model
Okay,
false.
listen to this. The principle of causality is analytically true, and I think you even conceded that, didn't
But
you?
you've conceded multiple times that it's not true outside the universe.
Outside the universe,
Right. In the Netherlands, it might not be true.
no,
Right.
you're defining the Netherlands as the same thing as what we have here. You haven't
Well,
answered
every
anything.
time I say outside the universe, I mean something outside the universe, which would be like the Netherlands, which we haven't given properties or any sort of form or shape at all.
Okay,
Just
is
something
there more than one? And is there more than one ontological being outside? Is the Netherlands more than one?
okay. So I don't, by ontological being, I don't really know what that means. Does that
Being
mean?
ontic has to do with just being.
So I mean, so you say the universe is an ontological being?
If no, I'm saying that that which brings forth contingency must be simple. It cannot be complex, because if it's complex, it's depending upon the parts. Nothing outside of itself can make itself to be itself. In other words, it's got to be simple in and of its essence. It can't be composed of parts, say like your computer monitor. Your computer monitor started out as a bunch of parts, and they needed an assembler. They had to be assembled apart. If you take the parts away from the monitor ceases to be what it is. And so really, the ontology of the monitor is not the monitor, it's the parts that make up the monitor. Therefore, complexity cannot be self-existent because it's dependent by its nature. It must be unity, ultimately.
So you base that on inference based on measurements within the universe.
I based it on thinking.
Based on
Logical inference.
thinking about things in our universe, and you're extrapolating that with no justification to
with the law of non-contradiction. And
but you don't know that you don't even know if you can extrapolate that outside the universe. There's no, so you said a whole bunch of things about complexity or complexity can't create our universe or for whatever, for some reason, but you have no demonstration that that's true. It's just your thoughts.
I just demonstrated it to you.
That's not a by demonstration. I mean empirically. That's what I mean.
I did. And empiricism, again, is based on logic. You must.
Empiricism is also empiricism means measuring things. It means observing and measuring.
And logically deducing.
Right, but if you're not giving me measurements and observations, you're not using empiricism. Is that not true?
I am measuring by saying that you cannot.
That's not a measurement. That's like here. Listen, this is like me asking you.
You're groveling.
I'm not groveling. This is like me asking you how an internal combustion engine works, and you just philosophizing about it when the real answer would be to cut it open and take a measurement.
You're philosophizing when you think that the engine is real, that it is discernible, that you have a mind that can categorize it. You're presupposing all the philosophy. You're just not.
You're not addressing the problem I just stated. That's just you just deflected. You're deflecting.
Oh,
I'm saying
didn't realize that.
No matter what we do, we have to presuppose some things. Fine.
Okay.
But
given all those things, right?
Yes, of course. Duh. I grant that. That's fine. That's not what I'm objecting to.
Okay.
What I'm objecting to is me asking you how an engine works, and instead of, based on our presuppositions, cutting it open and taking measurements, you're just hand waving and hypothesizing without any empirical demonstration that what you're saying is true.
I don't know how that's the case. Okay, let's try the modus ponens. Hopefully Bert's watching and he can make another video.
Okay.
All right. So if you have a given given P as a proposition.
If P then Q, we have P therefore Q. Bada boom. What's up?
Yeah, if P is correct. So if P is contingent existence and contingency implies a aseity or self-existence, then aseity is.
Demonstrate that the universe is not self-existent.
You just changed. Can you tell me something that's self-existent?
I'm within the universe. Yes.
Right.
Demonstrate that the universe as a whole, containing me and all the changing things, is not self-consistent or self-existent.
Well, from my perspective, the way I define it, I define the universe and all there is. I say that there's God and then there's creation.
The universe, how I define it then, if you would.
Then it's everything. Show me something that's not changing.
Everything within. So, do you understand that the rules that apply to elements within a set do not necessarily apply to the set itself? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Why do you? So you're engaging in special pleading by assuming you know that that can't be the case with the universe.
Because I think I've got the law of non-contradiction telling me otherwise. I have to have rational coherence.
That's not a demonstration. It's not incoherent that the universe as a whole could behave differently than the elements within the universe. Because
think about it. I mean, listen.
You can't use thought to arrive at this answer. You have to. No, sorry, you can't use thought alone, is what I mean to say. You need to measure something. You need to provide an observation.
I've never said that we never use. Remember, we start with sense perception and logic. You are really trying hard, but you're not making it. You're not getting traction.
All I'm trying to do is get you to justify what you're saying. I'm not doing anything.
I've justified it over and over.
You think you have, but okay. I'll let.
You sound like it's like you think you know what you're talking about, but you don't.
You make a lot of claims. I haven't made a claim, right? I haven't made a single claim yet.
You have made a claim. You've claimed that you exist and that you are changing.
All right. Beyond the assumptions that we have to make to function as human beings, yes.
Are you making a claim by engaging with me right now?
I guess implicitly that I exist, but you know what I'm talking about. You're just splitting hairs and you know what I mean.
You're disagreeing with me. You're making a claim.
Yeah, so I guess I'm claiming that your justification is
now justify your existence from your perspective. And you're going to say, I don't know.
I can't.
And I do, and you lose.
We can't do that. But that's beside the point, and I think you know that.
What?
Me being unable to prove to anyone that I exist. I mean, none of us can do that. I mean,
no, not prove that you exist. Justify your existence since you were born. You didn't make yourself before you existed.
We're not even talking about that question. We're talking about how you know, how you claim to know things about the universe, the nature of the universe as a whole.
All I know, I don't know. I don't have to know anything about. I could be a brain in a vat, and I'm just everything else is a dream that I'm having. But all I can do is about me as the inquirer. I know that I am changing. Since I am changing, I know there must be something self-existent that gives me my ontology. Otherwise, I wouldn't be.
I don't know. I mean, if I ask you to justify that, you'll just say the law of non-contradiction. But you haven't demonstrated the link between those two ideas, the law of non-contradiction.
It's causality is an application of the law of non-contradiction.
Okay. Can you give me like? Can you give me like a brief? Say that again. Go ahead.
An effect happens, and since something, and you're an effect, and something cannot be and not be at the same time in the same relationship, therefore there must be a cause. I'm just applying law of non-contradiction. That's what an application of causality is.
I will have to think about that later, but that sounds okay for now, right? So grant that what you just said is true. How can you apply what you just said to the universe as a whole?
Well, because if you want to say the whole universe has the same ontology, in other words, if you got to make a distinction in ontologies. If you're going to say this ontology is this, then they cannot both happen and not happen at the same time. You're violating the law of identity. You're saying like self-existence is dependent existence. It's nonsense. You're making a contradictory statement.
All I'm saying is it may very well be the case that if the universe is a set that contains everything that we know, everything that we can observe, right? And everything that we are is the elements of the set. It's very possible that the elements of the set and the set itself behave differently.
No, because the elements
demonstrate that that's necessarily false.
Okay, if all of the elements which make up the set are all changing, how is it that when you put them all together, they suddenly never happened?
Never happened. I think you want to phrase that differently. It's not never happened.
Never changed. They don't become self-existent when you pack a whole bunch of them together. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be an ontological distinction. They're exclusive in and of themselves. You cannot let them have the same ontological status. Because by definition, they're different ontologies.
What are? Hold on. What are
The
different ontologies?
self-existence and the dependent existence are different ontologies by definition. You can't say they're the same thing. They're not.
I'm not
That's what you're
saying that
trying
they
to
are.
do.
No, I'm
Well,
saying
sure you
that
are. You're saying that a
I.
whole bunch of these happenings suddenly make this unity that never happened.
The only way you can. Okay, so yeah, I'm saying if the universe is a giant balloon and we're all inside it, right? Which is a terrible
Mm-hmm.
model, but it's the universe is a
Mm-hmm.
giant balloon, we're all inside it. Uh, I obviously grant that the things inside the universe do change, but saying that the balloon itself changes relies upon layers of assumptions that are completely unfounded.
Okay, so the balloon is different than the contents inside it?
Maybe. I don't know that it is or is not.
Okay, well, you're making an ontological distinction. So the balloon, I mean, it's not a very good
I'm
analogy, but
calling it.
I can conceive it.
I'm calling into question your ontological assertion. I'm not making any claims.
You just said it's a different ontology.
I said
The
it
balloon.
might be. I don't know that it is or is not.
Well, if it's the same, then it's dependent in its existence, right?
If yes, if. But what if it's not? Well, you said if. Fine. You can say if all you want. The thing is, I didn't say whether it was or not or was not the same, right? You
Right.
claim to know if it's the same or not. I don't. And all I ask is that you demonstrate even one empirical observation that would allow you to make that claim.
Well, all I do is know that I exist.
That okay. You're okay. I hope the audience got something out of this because you're very routinely missing what I'm trying to get at. That's fine. Okay. Another point. Let's end that chapter.
Okay.
Let's grant for the sake of whatever that the universe was caused in the sense that you want to claim it was. Where does that get us?
Well, that we have a creator, and since we know that we are purposive beings, again, unintentionality cannot intend intentionality into existence. So that whichever make us, there must be some kind of correlation between us.
So what is
I'm sorry.
intentionality in that sense? Sorry.
That goals things. Purpose.
So you mean all right? So I'm gonna just paraphrase you, but
Okay.
are you saying? I'm just trying to make it easier, right?
Uh-huh.
And tell me if I'm misguided. You're saying non-sentience can never lead to sentience, essentially. I'm not saying it's a synonym for what you're saying, but is that a summary?
If you're defining sentience is that which values things, yes.
Okay. There's no demonstration that that's true. Because
show me something that's sentient that does not value.
No. You said non-sentience can't lead to sentience, right? That's very different from the question you asked.
Well, I'm saying if you define sentience as goaling, in other words, valuing, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you're going to say sentience means blue garage doors, well, maybe.
No, I'm not. I never did. I never said that.
No, I know. I'm just saying I want to be very careful with our terminology.
Sure, fine. Non-sentience can never create sentience. How do you know that? That's
because
a circular
argument. Something cannot. You cannot have the negation of something that actually bring about that which it does not have.
You don't know that.
Huh?
You don't know that.
Demonstrate to me how something. Basically, you're saying something from nothing. It doesn't exist, and all of a sudden it does exist.
No,
where did it come from?
Specifically, we're talking about non-sentience from sentience and things that do exist. That's what we're talking about right now.
We're talking about unintentionality intending intentionality.
We can talk. This is basically the evolution discussion. We can talk about a universe that already exists with full of matter, and we go from non-sentience.
And matter can't be eternal because it's changing.
It's irrelevant. Fine, I don't care. I'll address that later. But we're not talking about nothing creating something. We're talking about matter that exists and is not sentient leading to matter that exists and is sentient, right? That's not something from nothing. Okay. Very different. I'm not.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not claiming an ability to demonstrate that happened. You're claiming that you know it didn't happen.
Yes, because unintentionality cannot intend intentionality into existence.
You can't. No one said it had to intend it. What if it happened randomly and accidentally, like the currently accepted model of natural or evolution by natural selection?
Okay. Do you agree that the maxim ex nihilo nihil fit? Out of nothing, nothing comes.
Out of nothing, nothing comes. I mean, within the boundaries of our universe, yes, but I have no idea if that applies in an extra universal sense. because I know the universe exists and I don't know how. So
Okay, well, yeah, ex nihilo nihil, it's just a law of non-contradiction again. You got nothing, and then you have something. If you really have nothing, we can't even talk
the thing
about
is,
nothing.
what we're talking, I know, but we're trying to talk about how we went from an Earth with no sentient life on it to an Earth with
Right.
sentient life on it. We're not
So,
talking about
so we
nothing.
have the quality of no sentience.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's not the
or
same as
actually,
nothing.
I don't even like sentience. I want to talk about intentionality. There's no intentionality. There's no value,
Okay.
and then all of a sudden, non-value, unintentionality brought forth positively intentionality. How can it do that when it's unintentional? You're violating the law of identity.
By randomness and accidental things which happen, which we know happens in the universe all the time. Like we
No,
know that
that's just a just so story. It's ridiculous. No,
you assert that it's ridiculous, but you have no demonstration or reason to believe that.
I am saying unintentionality cannot intend intentionality
The thing
into
is,
existence.
nobody claims that it did.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I didn't say it intended.
Was there a state? Was there a state when there was no intentionality?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, and that state had to intend intentionality into existence.
Okay, we might just be getting confused on terms. Because what do you mean when you say it intended intentionality into existence? What does intended mean?
All right, so you've got unintentional, unintentional. Let's imagine a line of things: unintentional,
Okay.
unintentional, and then at some point, you have to have unintentionality and intentionality at the same time in the same relationship in order for intentionality to be in. And unintentionality is not intentionality.
I agree.
They're opposites.
No
They're
one
exclusive.
said. No one said that they are in the model of evolution, as far as I know.
Well, evolution is stupid.
Okay, well.
Now, I'm not talking about natural selection or things that have been verified, but to say that there's no efficient cause and that somehow everything is really important is stupid. I don't know why anity in the 21st century has to cling on to this outdated 19th century silliness.
Hold on, pause. Let's go back for a second. We'll get to this. I want to. We'll get to. Hold on. So is your problem that? What is your problem specifically with this line that you drew up? You said before that non-intentionality can't intend intentionality, but then you objected to the fact that they couldn't exist at the same time in the same whatever sense. Which objection is it? Is it both?
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody claims that anything like non-intentionality intended something to happen. I mean, the current best model we have for abiogenesis, which led to sentience, is accidental random stuff happening. Honestly, that's the best we got.
Yeah, it's called
right. But the point is,
spontaneous generation with chrome and plastic on it.
I can't prove to you that happened, but the
Louis
point
Pasteur did with that one.
But the point is, your objection based on non-intentionality intending something to happen is so pointless because I don't think that happened. No one thinks that happened. That's like a nonsensical statement.
They do.
No one thinks that a pool full of nitrogen-containing compounds intended to get struck by lightning and create RNA. No one thinks that happened. There was no intention there, right?
Oh no, you move it down a couple steps. It doesn't matter as long as it just happens by accident. And accident, again, is not a good word. Unintentionally, it unintentionally intended itself before it was.
It might have unintentionally happened, right? With no great plan or anything, right? With the universe, no being, no mind intended anything. No collection of anything may have intended for this to happen. It might have happened completely unintentionally. Why? I mean, so that if that's one part of your objection, then just abandon it because no one thinks that there was any intention anywhere.
Sure they do. Everybody agrees. No. Darwinian evolution has no. Hold on, just a minute. I don't know who that.
There's no intention.
Darwinian evolution says that. I'm sorry, I'm going to ignore this. I have the phone here with me. So Darwinian evolution says that every important stuff is. All right. So let's see.
Darwinian evolution makes no assessment about the import or value of life.
Sure does. Let me quote you the subtitle to On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or
is that by Darwin?
Yes.
Okay, Darwin's writing is not the same thing as the currently accepted theory of evolution by natural selection. Most, I think, biology courses don't really teach out of that book anymore because we have a lot better stuff since then.
Tell me how it's different. Show me. Do you believe in such a thing as teleonomy?
What? Okay. Anyway, the thing is, this is kind of secondary. This is. I think this is a tangent. I think you'll agree, or maybe not. No one thinks that the pool of molecules intended to get struck by lightning and create RNA. Like no one thinks that happened.
Everybody, sadly, we are. That's why I say we're living in a dark age.
Listen to me. You're gonna have to, please, anybody, you or someone in the audience who is affected by this, please listen to my expertise on this. I'm a PhD. I went to school to getting a PhD next to biology students, biochemists. We talked about evolution a lot. They're more experts than me. None of them, these PhD biochemists, believe that there was any intention. None of them believe that.
Those super duper smarty pants biologists, PhD biologists, do they believe that intentionality exists?
They did not. I didn't tell you that to claim that they were smarter than us or than you. I told you that to demonstrate that my peers, our peers, doing this research do not believe as Trey Jadlow claims they believe.
Yeah, and they're not very good thinkers. Oh, Bert's gonna love that one. I wonder if he's watching right now. And just because somebody has a PhD does not mean that they are.
The point was to demonstrate that your statement that they think that way is empirically false, because they do not.
No, they do. Every single person who holds the Darwinian evolution believes that intentionality exists.
No, that's not.
And there's no efficient cause.
They don't believe that that abiogenesis was intentional.
But they believe that intentionality was brought about by unintentionality, right?
Unintentionality preceded intentionality, but there was no plan there's no plan.
Unintentionality gave rise to intentionality.
Yes, that's a much different thing than saying that unintentionality intended intentionality. That's different.
It's not the same thing.
It is different because in one case it's an accident.
By unintentionality.
Do you distinguish between something that can happen intentionally and something that can happen unintentionally?
Yes. I mean,
why do you think so?
It's different between efficient and instrumental causes.
Okay, so I don't even necessarily agree that those are particularly important terms, but
they're very helpful. Really.
Okay, I'll agree with that. But anyway, let's say, for example, that I don't think this is true, but the current best accepted model for abiogenesis is that in a tide pool somewhere near an ocean, there happened to be a bunch of nitrogen-containing organic compounds floating around, and then a lightning bolt happened, and then suddenly the concentration of species was correct with that added energy to create the first RNA molecules. What part of that is intentional? Let's say if that's the current model, right? If that's what all of our scientific peers, like I said, your and my peers, if that's what they all believe, you're just giving me
a 19th century just so story.
No,
what is so compelling about that to you?
No, nothing. I'm asking if you think that means.
I think it's stupid.
But do you think it's intentional? That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to disabuse you. Okay, good.
That's the whole point.
Okay, fine. Then
it gave rise to intentionality.
That's along the lines of what they believe. So you need to disabuse yourself of the notion that they think unintentionality intended intentionality, because they don't believe that.
It had to. If it exists, it had to be intended. It doesn't.
No,
that's why it's so stupid.
I just described you a model where it would be completely accidental. That's the opposite of intentional.
No, not accident. You mean unintended.
Okay. So, yeah, sure. I described to you a model where it would be completely unintended.
Yeah, unintentionality, intended intentionality.
I just gave you a model where it's unintentional. How in that model was it intended?
Because it was a stupid model.
But
we can't throw our minds out for our scientific.
Listen, I don't care if you think it's stupid or not. I'm telling you that's along the lines of the best prediction.
And I said it's irrational.
Okay,
I cannot go with what's irrational.
That's not the point. You need to stop saying that people believe something that they don't believe. Whether you agree with it or not, you can find it stupid. But all I'm doing is describing to you something like the models they currently believe.
And I'm saying it's stupid. You're just moving it down a little bit.
But you shouldn't say they believe believe it was intentional. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
No, they're saying unintentionality has to intend. In other words, you can't.
No.
Yes. Okay. Let me say this. The reason I'm saying that is because it's an irrational statement. That's my whole point in saying it. They have to believe that, but they don't believe it. Therefore, their view falls apart. It's just a 19th century superstitious, stupid story.
Oh my goodness! I really don't think you're getting at all what I'm trying to say.
No, I am. I understand.
I don't think you do. That's fine. Okay. I hope somebody in the audience is benefiting from this.
Oh, they're probably throwing their Coke cans at the thing. Somebody will make another video about it.
So here's the evolution thing is great, but I think we're gonna have to do another hangout to get anywhere near addressing all of that completely. let's go talk about, we started back at a premise where I said, okay, let's grant that the universe is caused in a way that, or intended, or whatever word you'd prefer to use is fine. And I said, where does that get us? And you said it got us to, we have a creator or something?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
just summarize real quick what you said?
A personal creator, if we are persons, or a volitional, or an efficient cause, something that values and goals things.
Okay, so let me propose a model, a different model. There were a species of extra-dimensional aliens who created a machine with a big red button. They didn't know what the machine would do. I don't know why they created it. But they pushed the big red button. They exploded our universe into existence, and they annihilated themselves in the process. Prove to me that that didn't happen.
Where did they come from? You did. You just moved it back a few steps.
Right. That doesn't address my question.
Well, sure it does. Did they happen? You've answered absolutely nothing.
Sure. Well, maybe. I mean, so you're basically asserting that if we go up through enough multiverses that we necessarily have to get to a god, but that's not necessarily true either.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying it. Adding numbers to it does absolutely nothing. To make it an infinite regress of effects without a cause does not help the problem. It only exacerbates it.
So that may be what it is. I don't know that it's not. But eventually we're going to have to get to something that is literally eternal and the uncaused cause, right?
That's right.
You say, I don't say. I mean, that's what you're claiming. But yes, even in such a case, what if the uncaused cause is just some impersonal, uncaring monolith of granite or something?
How did it give rise to you? Who cares?
Accidentally, I don't know.
Accidentally, there we go again. Unintentional intentionality.
I'm not claiming to know. I think you're claiming to know it was intentional.
Well, yes, I am, and I'm asking you to show me how unintentionality can intend intention. Ball's in your court.
The unintentional. So I don't. So that's the currently accepted model for evolution, first of all. So I'll just defer to.
And it's stupid. Let's put our thinking caps back on. Let's get out of the past and get into the 21st century.
Okay, the 21st century is full of tens of thousands of peer-reviewed journals that are building.
Stupid.
You're allowed to disagree with the vast majority of peer-reviewed.
Well, I very well could be wrong, but I am convinced in my mind that it's stupid. I mean, I'd like somebody to show me how. I think Darwinian evolution is so pathetic. I mean, I think we should have moved on 100 years ago.
You said you'd like someone to show you. Then I suggest you start reading somewhere in a reputable biology.
Why don't you tell me? You're the big shot. Tell me an argument. Because I don't have time to spend my whole life searching for something that's not there.
Well, right. Okay. So I don't want to walk through a whole thing on evolution. We should probably do a whole other hangout for that if we want to do that. But you said you want to base your beliefs and follow the evidence to where it is, but you don't want to go and search for the evidence necessary to form your belief on this? Is that right?
If you I'm asking you to give me the argument. What you're saying is go read a book somewhere. And I'm like, I don't have time to go read a book somewhere. You make the argument, or you tell me the book that has the answer, and I'll read it. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, since you said, well, somewhere out there, somebody's got an answer. Since you don't want to go out and find it, look in every single book that's ever been written. Therefore,
you could start it. That's not special pleading, but you should go to talkorigins.org would be a great place to start. And there's also.
I want you to tell me what Talk Origins has that's so compelling.
A very thorough, but let me check real quick. Very thorough compilation of humanity's current understanding of evolution by natural selection, along with some other stuff that they update periodically. Anyway, it's kind of secondary, I think. We'll do that in another hangout. Something about intentionality. So yeah, you assert to know the nature of what gave rise to our universe. I do not. I mentioned some big block of granite that didn't care, and you mentioned that, oh, no, it couldn't have been that. It had to be something that did it on purpose. And I have no demonstration that that's true. I'm just taking your word for it at this point.
Did you mean to say that?
Mean to say what?
That it doesn't make sense, what I said?
I said I'm speaking too quickly. I don't think I said what you said doesn't make sense. It said you're saying things without demonstration or giving any empirical reason to believe that they're true. Yeah, without any sort of like empirical demonstration, I have no reason to believe.
I have the empirical demonstration of my interlocutor right now showing purpose.
What? That doesn't mean anything. I mean, All I
Sure.
know is that means that's just something I know about you in the universe, but not about what created the universe.
Um, well, it speaks about you having something that cannot exist unless it was given to you.
Or it was just a product of the universe without any intention at all. I mean, both of those could account for it. How
No,
do
it
we
couldn't.
distinguish one from the other? You assert that. I don't know why.
Because something cannot give a positive attribute of what it does not have.
Well, if there's an act of giving, yes, but by saying give, you're
Are you
implying.
contingent? Does contingency not give what it is?
I mean, with giving, you're implying some sort of intention. I mean, it could just
Hmm.
be more of like an inherit, which is sort of different.
Have you ever given something?
I have, and I intended to.
Okay. So intentionality exists.
Yes, within our universe, I've
But
granted
you're
that
not
several
self
times.
existent, right?
I don't. I'm dependent on the universe. That doesn't say anything about the universe necessarily.
Okay.
Anyway, uh, even saying that, yeah, we're back to the point where I was before. We're saying that the universe was caused, and we know that in the sense that you want to say it. We could even say it was intentionally caused, but it could have been by aliens who annihilated themselves, and they don't care about us. So how do we get from cause to a personal God?
We look at ourselves and we know that we are personal beings,
Uh-huh.
and
So
we
you
know
so
that
this line of argument is based on the fact that you know we couldn't have or arisen accidentally from our universe.
yes, because the law of identity and law of
How
non-contradiction.
can you possibly know that? The law of identity and non-contradiction do not answer this question for you.
Sure, they do. Law of
No.
identity, unintentionality is not intentionality.
Yeah, but one you don't know that one cannot beget the next. I love the word
Well,
beget.
sure, I do.
I really do. The fact that it's in the Bible so much doesn't matter. I really like the word. Anyway, so you say you sure do know that one cannot beget the next. Okay. Well, you got any empirical evidence to back that up?
Yes, I know that ex nihilo nihil fit. Out of
That is
nothing,
not
nothing
empirical.
comes. Sure, it is. That's the fundamental rule of
That
science and of
that
rationality.
that doesn't mean it's empirical. I don't think you. When I say
Sure, it
empirical, I think
is.
you hear something else.
Remember, empiricism is based upon logical maxims. You
And
cannot interpret the
and
data without logic.
and and there's another ingredient. What's the other ingredient?
Sensory perception.
Okay, there we go. Do you have any sensory perception that proves your point?
Yes, I have sensory perception that I and you
I think
are volitional.
you are abusing sensory perception here. Okay, wait. What is it? What is it? Ex nihilo. What?
Nihil fit.
Ex nihilo. There it is. I
I,
had to type in. Got it. Thank you. It autofilled. I don't need to. I don't need to know how to spell.
I,
Internet's great. Hold on one sec. Out of nothing. I'm not saying out of nothing. Once we have, this is a whole other point. Yeah, we're not assuming nothing. The ex nihilo nihil fit doesn't apply here at all, right? You're saying that once we no longer have nothing, we know we have something, right? So the nihilo thing is gone. It doesn't need to be brought up again. We know we're in the universe. The universe has stuff in it. You're claiming one cannot beget the next. You're claiming to know that somehow. And ex nihilo nihil fit cannot be your justification because I'm nowhere claiming that we have nothing.
you're saying that all we have is unintentionality,
Uh-huh.
and that negation of something gives rise to its positive opposite.
It could have been just a random event. Random events happen a lot.
No, a random event has never happened.
You,
It's always caused by something.
I guess you don't believe at all in quantum mechanics then?
Quantum mechanics, when you say once you say that something can be and not be at the same time in the same relationship, you commit, look this one up, the principle the principle of explosion. Once you say that LNC does not hold, Niels Bohr, believed that, and Albert Einstein said, God doesn't play dice. If he does, I'd rather work in a gaming house or be a cobbler. And Niels Bohr said that his suit of arms for his family coat of arms was contrary sunt complementary. In other words, contraries are complementary, or contradictories are complementary. He threw his mind out over this quantum mechanic things. The thing is you don't deny the law of non-contradiction. Just say we don't understand it. That's fine, but don't tell me that something can be and not be at the same time in the same relationship. Because the moment that you do that, the exact opposite of your proposition is true as well. All inquiry is off once you don't deny elements.
That's actually what quantum mechanics states.
What?
So you could have just said, no, you don't believe in what quantum mechanics teaches. I mean, I don't think anyone says it's proven.
No, since we don't understand it. We don't understand how subatomic particles work.
Right. Okay.
in superposition. But that's not to say that.
Well, so that means we don't know that whether they're random or not, but you're asserting to know. And
No, yes, I am, because you can't have an effect without a cause. Remember, they're definitionally linked. You can't have them apart. The only way you can define an effect is to say is that which is is the result of a cause.
we're not talking about cause without, or effect without a cause. We're talking about whether or not it's random. The cause could be
An
random.
event. An event is an effect.
Yeah, that could be caused by a random cause leading to a random effect.
Okay, then it's not. Okay, so was that cause itself an effect?
I mean, isn't every cause an effect of some previous cause?
No, because you're
Probably.
appealing to an infinite regress of effects without causes.
I mean, within our universe, I mean, within reason. I don't mean to say like universally, but like within reason, like every cause that brought you and me to life is an effect of some other cause, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's why you have to extrapolate all the way to back. There's got to be something that doesn't happen. That's the whole point.
Well, there's a Big Bang, we think.
And the Big Bang happened, right?
Almost certainly.
It's an event.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So originally, the cosmology, the evolutionary, they didn't like Big Bang because they saw the parallels with the Bible. They fought it at first, but
yeah, but they changed their mind based on what's the word? What's the word that changed their mind? Do you know it?
Yeah, dogma.
I think it's evidence.
The evidence showed that something can make itself before it exists.
No. Let the Big Bang happen. That's it.
That's right. They didn't want to accept it, but they had to because
yeah. But what changed
evidence.
Your mind? Evidence, right? Evidence
right.
is a good thing, a good reason to change your mind.
But the reason they say it's not, there's no self-existent that made it, was dogma.
I think it's just inability to assess the statement. All right. Anyway, yeah. So basically, to answer my previous question about why do you know we have a creator God, you would just assert that because our universe in one tiny corner ended up with intentionality, that there had to be an intentionality behind creating the universe.
Right.
Which I think is completely unfounded. And I hope the listeners would agree that there's no empirical evidence supporting that statement, only applications of philosophical terms incorrectly in some cases.
Okay. All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour. Is there some other stuff?
Let's address tertium quid, because I'd never heard that phrase before, and it is so utterly misguided that I'd like to fix it.
Sure.
Let's see. So I guess the term itself isn't misguided, but this shouldn't take long. So you said before that I think it was in relation to evolution and how humans came around, right? So we're either created as you believe or we evolved as I believe. And I said that if we could somehow disprove evolution completely, right? We had the evidence to do that. Then my claim is that would absolutely not prove that what's the phrase I'm looking for? Creation? That's not the word. Intelligent design. If we could somehow disprove evolution, it would not at all prove intelligent design is true. And you said something about tertium quid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
just need a third option?
Okay, so do you think I need a third option to make my statement true?
I think that we were saying that there's a third option of. I can't. Can you explain again real quick?
Okay, so it was a discussion of. So my statement is, or was, and still is, if we could empirically disprove the theory of evolution by natural selection, it would not at all prove that intelligent design is true.
If we could prove that natural selection were true.
We're wrong. If evolution by natural selection was false, right, that would not prove that intelligent design is true.
So you've got evolution is true, or I'm sorry, or natural selection. Evolution is true.
No. Evolution and natural selection are both false.
Okay, I'm sorry. Evolution and natural selection are false.
Yes.
And you said, therefore, there's some other way. And I said the third one would be that there's a creator who created all things.
We don't know that. That doesn't prove it. So my statement.
That's the most rational thing. I mean, you're just arguing from ignorance.
I'm not making an argument. That's the point. Is I'm not.
You're saying I don't know, but you're not making an assertion. You can't say I don't know as a rebuttal and then say, well, yours isn't good because I don't like it. You need to give a rebuttal.
No, you don't. I'm glad you said that. That is absolutely, unequivocally, 100% false. And it is not, and it has never been how science and rational inquiry are conducted. Not ever, Not
That's
one.
how argument works, my friend. If you're going to
No,
rebut me,
it's not.
you need to have a rebuttal. Just don't say I don't
No,
know and I'm not going to accept what you're saying
no, I don't.
without reason.
I
That's
do
called
not.
Occam's razor there,
I
or
do,
parsimony.
no, it's not at all called Occam's razor. That's a misuse of that term. But I do not have to have a third option to reject both of the two options that we have. That is completely false.
You can just say, yeah, you can just say I don't know, but I won the debate. That's fine.
I can say that I can say with confidence that you do not have the evidence required for your position.
I said that God made everything. You did not rebut it, and you said there must be something else. I don't know.
If we disproved evolution as hypothesis A, right? We somehow concluded that it was wrong. We have hypothesis B left, which is intelligent design. If we do not have reasonable evidence to believe hypothesis B, we reject it. We do not need hypothesis C to reject hypothesis.
Are you intelligent? Are you designed?
Listen, this is a whole different thing. I'm not presenting an argument against it right now. I'm presenting an argument against your.
Okay, what is your tertium quid? Tell me what it is.
I don't need one. I'm telling you.
You are losing so bad, my friend.
I'm telling you, you completely misunderstand how science and rational inquiry are done. You absolutely do. This is not how it works. I do not need hypothesis C to recognize that hypothesis B is unsupportable. That's not how this works.
And tell me, why is it unsupportable?
Lack of evidence.
What evidence do you need? I gave you that.
What evidence do I ever need? Empirical evidence.
Remember that fiducia is a hard thing.
What is?
Remember you said that fiducia is a very hard thing. Let me get where you're at.
What do you mean by that?
Notitia, assensus, and fiducia.
Yeah. Well, this is a whole nother thing.
The ring of faith.
This isn't even that.
What is the argument, Mark?
I hope I'll let the audience decide that.
Oh, I'm sure. You look at the thumbs down. I always get more thumbs down than I do thumbs up, and they'll tell me how stupid I am.
Well, I mean, depending on who's doing it, maybe that would encourage you to look into some of these things that I'm saying.
It feeds my Dunning-Kruger effect that Bert says I have.
Anyway, let me give you an example. Okay? Here's an example. It's a very practical example from my field, chemistry, but it's approachable by everybody.
Okay.
Let's say a professor over at MIT thinks a bunch of people are studying the same reaction. It's this very important reaction where we start with chemical A and we end up at product Z. Okay. Everybody wants to know how this is done, because if we know how it's done, we'll figure out something cool and we can make it different and all this fancy stuff. Okay.
Sure.
Professor at MIT insists that, just based on his experience, it obviously we go from species A and we go through intermediate B and we end up at product C. Obviously, it has to be that. Okay, great. Meanwhile, over at Caltech, the other professor says, you're an idiot. We obviously go from species A to intermediate C to product Z. So in one case, they think it goes through from A to B to Z. The other one thinks it goes from A to C to Z. If one of the professors runs his experiments and fails to find proof confirming that A to B to Z is true, does that mean we should believe A to C to Z?
It means that A to C to Z is the best one you've had, and if you can't just say I don't accept that as the best answer without giving another answer. You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, and you're completely wrong, and that's not how science is done ever.
Okay, so I could come up to you and say that.
The thing is, hypothesis.
I could say the law of gravity doesn't necessarily mean that I have to believe in the law of gravity, because there could be another way, and I don't accept it. That is not how science is done, my friend.
I'm not saying that's how science is done. That's the worst straw man I've ever heard in my life. All I'm saying is that a hypothesis, or anything, we believe things in science based on the evidence supporting them. A hypothesis is accepted when evidence is sufficient. It is rejected when evidence is insufficient. You can't disprove it. Yeah. It is rejected when evidence is insufficient. If the evidence is insufficient for both intermediate B and intermediate C, they are both rejected. It doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. I thought you said the evidence was good for intermediate C. No, I didn't. They both have bad evidence. Yeah, sure. No, well, it's not even that they have bad evidence. It's like we've rejected intermediate B, and we've done nothing for intermediate C. Did you have a reason for it? Yeah. They ran a test and they couldn't confirm it. Did you have a reason for rejecting intermediate C? Not yet. Untested, right?
Okay, so why would you not accept it if you can't disprove it?
You should neither accept nor reject it until you have empirical evidence supporting one way or the other.
You just rejected one on based on empirical evidence, and you said
Based on an experiment that would have given you evidence but failed to produce the evidence.
yeah, so it fails.
Yes,
You
but
disprove it.
C hasn't failed yet, nor has it succeeded. What do we believe about C?
Well, sure, it has succeeded if you've tested it, right?
No,
At
we
least
haven't tested
once.
it. I should have done this. I should have slowed down and done this way more clearly. That's my fault. I apologize for that.
Okay.
We have our two hypotheses, intermediate B or intermediate C, right?
Uh-huh.
Intermediate B is not disproven, but it has failed to be confirmed by experiment. And
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
C is completely untested.
Yeah.
So what do we believe then?
You don't believe in C because you got tested.
Okay. So that's my position with...
I already tested mine. I've already given evidence for mine, and you haven't rebutted it.
You don't have evidence for it. What empirical evidence do you have?
That you exist!
Yeah, but you don't know that that couldn't...
Opponents.
You don't know that that couldn't happen without intelligent design.
Well, are you intelligent?
You don't know that that couldn't happen without intelligent design.
Well, sure I do. I know
No,
that
you don't.
something cannot create that. It cannot intend that which it does not have. If it's unintentional, it doesn't intend things.
I agree with that. But no one said that life had to be intended into existence, nor intentionality. It could have happened accidentally.
No, because you just said you agreed with it. Then you said unintentionality intended it into existence.
I agreed with your other statement, which was very specific and different from what I just said. I forget what you said, though. I think you said unintentionality. You said unintentionality can't intend intentionality, and I agree with that. The point of contention, right. The point of contention here with me is the word intention or intended, because it's either like you don't know that life or intention can't exist or can't come about unintentionally. You claim to know that.
Can.
No,
because unintentionality cannot intend intentionality.
Yeah, I agree with that. Unintentionality cannot intend unintentionality, right? Yes, fine.
Okay.
That's a
so
different.
You said you have a state of unintentionality, and then you said it gives rise to intentionality.
Okay, right. Okay, so, all right then, we can divide that in two. In one hand, unintentionality, intended intentionality. On the other hand, intentionality arose unintentionally from unintentionality, right? Your statement...
Your right hand is irrational. You violated the law of identity.
My right hand. Oh, nice. You say it's irrational. That doesn't violate the law of identity at all, because I'm not saying they're both the same thing. I'm not saying that something is unintentional and intentional at the same time. I'm saying something intentional.
At some point.
No, I could say there are two steps in the process. Step 372 was unintentional or had an unintentional product. Step 273 had an intentional product.
That's right.
These two steps are different. They're not the same thing. That's not the law of identity.
They're on a continuum, right? Same ontological continuum.
That doesn't violate the law of identity, though, because these products are different.
At some point, they both had to exist at the same time.
Yeah, but not like I'm not saying this single thing is both. I'm saying this begat another one, and that's different.
I am saying you have nothing, and then you have it's the positive affirmation of that, and you said it's step one, or state 372, 373.
I should have been more clear.
They were both existing at the same time.
Should have been more clear. Each step is a different product, different entity, right? So in step 272 we have product, unintentional, no intentionality, and then in step 273 we have another product with intentionality. These aren't the same. There's no law of identity here.
Sure, they are. You're saying that one gave rise to the other, right?
Yeah, that doesn't violate the law of identity. I mean, you can disagree with it, but the law of identity would only come into play if I'm saying this exact unit, 273, had both intentionality and no intentionality. That would violate the law of identity. I'm saying there are two units. One has the property and one doesn't. How is that? How is that? You don't have to.
Okay, let's imagine you have an intentional product giving rise to an unintentional product. Is that a problem?
That's called me going to the bathroom.
Right.
Yes.
So that's not a problem.
Right.
But the other way around is a big difference.
That is a big difference.
Because
I agree.
You have the negation of it that cannot intend. By definition, that's what the word means.
So you don't think that when sperm and an egg come together, that's two unintentional things giving intentionality? Is that not a problem for you? The egg and the
Well, that
sperm have no intention.
intentionality must be created by something that is intentional. If it has a soul that is
There
intentional,
is no intentionality in a sperm or an egg.
no, that they can give rise to it. It has to come from somewhere. And well, the sperm does have somewhat of intentionality, but it's not the human. It's the 23 chromosomes of the
Yeah, it's
sperm.
certainly not intentionality
It
in the
certainly
sense.
is intending to go up and to find a spot in the
I mean,
egg.
they go in random directions, and hopefully one gets there. It's not really. I mean, they
But
tend
but
to move.
they're going really fast, really hard in a certain direction. They're determined to do something, right?
They're interpreting
I won't say like us, but
they don't have like a. I mean, by intentionality, do you just mean? Because like by that logic, anything with locomotion is
purpose,
intentionality.
any purpose.
But the sperm cell. Wait,
Sperm
intentionality?
are intentional creatures, are they not?
No, I would argue no. I mean, that
They
I
have a
really.
goal.
This is why I'm asking. I really want to try and define intentionality. I don't really understand it anymore. Because like you're kind of saying like anything with locomotion is intentional at that point.
Anything that has a goal in mind is intentional.
Then like a bacterium.
Is a bacterium moving toward the goal of, let's say, I don't know about bacteria. Like DNA replication is.
Well, then yes, bacterium, because bacteria do that a lot. They replicate
okay,
DNA quite a bit.
I thought bacteria were they take off a host or something.
That's viruses.
Oh, virus. Okay.
Yeah. Fair question. Yeah, bacteria are just cells like our cells, and they split in half and replicate DNA, and then there's two bacteria.
Okay, so there's no different then. Yeah, that's fine with that.
Okay, so then okay, I'm glad I asked because I was misunderstood you before. Your definition of intentionality is simply a quality of life, then, except for viruses.
Okay, let me quote again the book of Darwin's book, and I know you may not like it, word, but it says, on the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. All of life is struggling toward the goal of existence, and you need to give a justification for that. Darwinian evolution has no efficient cause. It doesn't have any kind of goal.
Wait, so when you state I need to give justification, why do I need to give justification? It's certainly
because you concede within your paradigm that intentionality exists, that goals exist.
Yeah, but I don't
state. That's why I think it's so stupid.
I don't state to know why or whether there necessarily even is a why those goals exist. It doesn't need.
But there is a goal, right? I mean, Darwin couldn't get away from it. You guys can't get away from it.
It can exist without a why. It could just
every time you find a new species, you guys get all excited and happy. And if one is going extinct, you get all worried.
Well, so do you, don't you?
Yes, because I have a reason for it. Of course I do. You don't. You just walk in blind faith and think you're smart or something.
Okay,
and I'm not saying you're stupid, but I'm saying evolution is stupid. You're a lot smarter than me, for sure.
No.
I'm probably the dumbest guy in this community.
No, let's use the word misguided again, which we talked about before.
No, I really am. I have a very slow head. So.
No, that's not fair. I don't think so. Oh man. So if we're pretty much getting into the evolution stuff, and if we're gonna stay there, I think we should save that for another talk because we can go forever, and it gives me time to look up some talk origin stuff. Yeah,
sure.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's fine.
And this is fun. Even if we don't get anywhere, this is a good time.
I enjoy talking with you. You're very kind, and I mean you're spirited, which is fun, and you challenge to think about. There's a whole continuum of people that I do hang up with. Some of them are so bad I just delete them. A few.
Wow.
Of them. No, I mean it's just such a mess. It's only happened like twice, but it's like the guy just wanted to get his face on YouTube, and he kind of baited me into something, and it's like he had no idea what he's talking about, and I tried to talk to him, and he's like, what? And
well, if I get deleted, I'll know what happened then.
No, absolutely not. You're on the other end. That's what I'm saying. I really enjoy it because I like talking to. You know what I am? You know what I like talking? I love talking to two things. I'm a blue collar kind of guy. I love regular folks. My best friends are. One of my best friends, Jesus, works at Walmart, and I just love him to death. We're very close friends. I love hanging with blue collar people because they're unpretentious. They're not trying to show anybody that, you know that they love you and all that. People who are smart, though, I love hanging out with them because I can learn stuff from them. I love it. But oftentimes, people who are smart can be somewhat pretentious. And they're worried about the reputation and stuff. And I like somebody who doesn't care so worried about themselves, and you seem to be just a regular guy too.
I
And
really wish I didn't have to pull out or mention my PhD. I really hate doing that, but I used it not. I hope people understand that I used it not to demonstrate that I was
no,
smart,
no,
but
no,
just because I had experience with people you were talking about.
no, that you don't come across like that at all. In fact, I think everybody will agree that you are very humble and gracious, and you don't. I wasn't trying to make a jab at you. In fact, I'm saying you're more like a
Yeah,
blue collar guy.
okay. I'm
Um,
glad you think so. And yeah, I didn't think you were jabbing at me. It just really makes me feel icky when I do that. So I felt that I had to say
well,
something.
no, that's a good on you for even saying that. So
Thanks.
I appreciate that. So I really enjoy the uh, the interaction, and some people will get nasty, but most of the people that I have long-term relationships with, they stick around.
Hmm.
Like Bert and I have had some really heated discussions, but we've been able to keep it cordial with each other,
Oh, good.
and it makes for a really it's just very enjoyable when you cannot get bitter and break off with people, and you can have a robust difference, but understand that you both can respect each other and maintain that relationship. It's a great joy, and I'm looking forward to hoping we can have a relationship like that because you seem very
I hope
gracious.
so. I mean, yeah, like if I was just thinking about this, like if you lived closer to me, I'd want to go out to like dinner or something because you
Yeah.
seem like a really cool guy. I wish
Well,
we could meet in person someday. I hope so.
well, I'm sure we will. I've always thought it'd be fun. Maybe somebody has an idea who's watching us. We could. I would love to like fly somewhere, have all of the community just to get together and meet each other because we do. People really hate on each other on Google Plus. That's kind of one of the
Mm,
reasons why I backed off. But there is and they'll admit it. There's a camaraderie that comes even with your enemies when you
mm.
hang out with each other. Even though you differ vigorously, you have this love for your interlocutors. And it would be fun. I've always thought about that on different forums I've been at. I thought, oh man, it'd be fun if we could like meet up in Chicago or something. Just for an evening or for a day or something like that, and hang out with each other. It would be really fun.
That would be cool. I think we'd talk ourselves hoarse, but it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and maybe argue each other to death. But
Yeah, right.
it would be fun.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
this has been a really good time, but I do have to go and get my
Yeah.
girlfriend from the airport, and that'll take a
Okay.
while.
Sure. Okay. Well, I appreciate you doing this, and we'll do it again,
I
and
hope so.
study up on some stuff that you want to
Okay,
clarify and
we'll do.
challenge, and we'll do another hangout.
Okay, all right then.
All right,
Thank you
Mark.
very
All right,
much.
blessings to you. Have a great weekend
You
or a
too.
good evening. All right, we'll see you.
See ya.